Now let's go ahead and create a DHCP IPv6 scope and configure a client workstation to use a DHCP assigned IPv6 address. So first of all, we are on the domain controller. We're logged on to the DC, London DC1 or Lund-DC1, and I'm going to open the services snap-in and make sure that the DHCP server service is started. So right now it's set to manual, so I have to click on start to start the service. Next, let's open the DHCP manager, and in the DHCP server we'll expand the server name on the left pane, on the console pane, and then we have two nodes, one node for IPv4 and the other node for IPv6. So we right click the IPv6 node and let's go ahead and create a new scope. So the standard new scope wizard page looks like this, and then I click next on that, and here we'll let's give a scope of Contoso IPv6 clients, give it a name and then click next, and in the scope prefix let's give it a prefix of FC00 followed by 2 zeros and a 1, 16-bit groupings followed by a double colon symbol. So this is basically indicates that the first 4 16-bit groupings are going to be FC00, 00 and 1, and then followed by a double colon that indicates that that's the end of the prefix, and then it's a 64-bit. And the reason it's a 64-bit mask, network mask, is because we have 4 octets, or 4 not octets but 4 groupings of 16 bits each, so that makes it 64 bits, which is the network portion, which is what matters. And then we leave the preference setting to 0 and then click next. Now on the add exclusions page, let's enter an address of 0:0:0:1. So those are the last 4 16-bit groupings within the IPv6 address. So that's for the start address, and the end address is also going to be 0:0:0:1, and then we click on the add button. So this is going to exclude this address range, or basically the single address, and then we click next, and here we just see the scope, the settings for the scope lease. So it gives us IANA settings for temporary address, non-temporary address, the preferred lifetime and the valid lifetime. So we just leave those at default, all those settings, and then click next, and finally we click on finish, and before that we have to make sure that we have selected to we have chosen to activate the whole scope now as soon as it's created. So clicking finish will go ahead and create that. So we see the scope here, and we see the exclusions we gave and all, and the other settings. So now what we do is we can go ahead and close the DHCP manager, and we're going to close services here, and then let's switch over to the client machine Lund-CL1. So on the client machine now, let's open the network properties, and I'm going to bring up the properties of the local area connection. So here let's choose the properties of the IPv4, and for IPv4 we're going to version 4 of IP, we're going to let it obtain an IP address automatically. So both IP address and DNS automatically. So we click OK, and then let's pull up the properties of the IPv6, and here also in IPv6 we just confirm that IPv6 is going to obtain the address automatically and the DNS server. So those settings are in place, and then we'll go and click close. And give it a few seconds to save the settings. Now we're going to close all these open windows and then just move back to the command prompt. And here, while in the command prompt, we're going to issue a net sh command and just look at the IPv6 properties. So this is basically a net sh, followed by interface. INT is a abbreviated form, and then we're choosing IPv6 and then show interface. So this will actually show us the interface settings, and we'll have to use some of these values. So the output from this command actually lists the interfaces and their respective index numbers. So the IDX value is the index number which we need to remember, and we'll use it in the next command. So to retain this, I'm going to open another command prompt, so that way we can retain the original things, the original values, without having them scroll away into oblivion. Now we're going to issue in the new command prompt one command to disable router discovery, because we are using DHCP. So for IPv6, the command is net sh interface IPv6 set interface, and we have to provide an index. So for now, let's actually we'll have to choose the index for the LAN connection 2, which is 11, because that's what we manipulated. So now we're setting, by this command, we are actually setting router discovery to be disabled for interface index number 11, which is LAN local area connection 2, which is what we modified. So we get an OK confirmation, and then we type another command to enable the managed address feature. So it's very similar to the previous one. So it's net sh interface IPv6 set interface index number 11 managed address equals enabled. So this is basically saying configuring the IPv6 stack to let it know that DHCP is available. Then we can view our existing settings by showing the net sh interface IPv6 show interface index number. So I'm just going to maximize this window. So we issued the net sh interface IPv6 show interface 11, so the index ID, and this is now showing us the interface parameters for local area connection 2, which we modified, and we can see that router discovery has been disabled as we had configured it, and managed address configuration is enabled. So now that we have configured and verified those settings, let's go ahead and restart this machine. So the client machine, I'm just going to restart it now. Now the machine has restarted, the client machine. So I'm going to log back on as the domain administrator. And once I log on, I'm going to issue an ipconfig command So open up a command prompt, and now let's issue an ipconfig command. So we see that we have some settings here, but let's go ahead and do a release, ipconfig release, to make sure. And we'll issue a release and a renew command to make sure that we are getting IP addresses from the DNS server, a DHCP server once again. So what we are observing here is we did a renew after the release. I'm just issuing an ipconfig all again. So now we see that we have an IP address for IPv6 of the form FC00.1 or :1, and then we have this whole entry here that goes all the way. So there are actually the leading zeros have been suppressed. So in IPv6, as we discussed in the class, 2 leading zeros have been suppressed. So that's 3 16-bit groupings after FC00, and then we have 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 as we should expect for a valid IPv6 complete address. And we see that this has been tagged as a preferred address because it's being issued by DHCP. And then we also have a linked local address that is automatically auto-assigned by design, and then we are also getting an IPv4 address from DHCP, and we have the lease details. So we see that we're getting both IPv6 and IPv4 addresses from the DHCP, and it's functioning as expected.